Hey guys, it's Chris,
And Christy.
and we wanted to give you guys a quick family update, just letting you know everything that's going on since our last video. There is so much to share here, and unlike the previous video, Christy and I really feel led to let this one be public. And so, if there are those that you know, friends and loved ones, that you would like to share our testimony and our story with, please feel free to share this video. Like I said, there's so much in store. We will have like the little chapter breakdowns, and so if you want to share specific parts, we're going to try to make it easy on you, and all of that. But we have a lot to cover, so let's jump in. So I wanted to first and foremost let you guys know that in our last video, we shared a breakdown of everything that we needed, and it ended up being right around a $6,000 need that we asked everyone to pray about, whether they wanted to give to us, do an Amazon like item purchase if they didn't want to give monetarily, and then also prayer. And so guys, prayer is going to be the theme of this. There's so many prayers that were given and that went out that were so vital that if they had not, I don't know what would have happened. And so I do not want to minimize that. We're going to be talking about that quite a bit. But I wanted Christy to go ahead and share where we landed for our financial need.
So the monetary giving was $6,765.
Woo! Thank you guys so
over
much.
what we had anticipated.
And one of the things that we reiterated last time, and we'll cover more in our story breakdown, but we tithed off of this too, and I have to share maybe a little bit before the story, but it was very difficult, and I'll go into that more, especially as you kind of see the timeline of events. But God is faithful, God is good, and we thank you all so much for just being obedient to his voice and blessing us in this way. It means so much to us. And so I guess we'll go ahead and dive into the details. I wanted to get that out of the way first so you guys knew that we did meet and exceed our goal. Many people were praying that we would exceed our goal and have extra. So thank you all who asked the Lord to exceed our expectations. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so we wanted to kind of start with a detailed list of events going back to right around December 29th. And so I'll let Christy start this part off, and we'll just kind of bounce back and forth, filling in the gaps. Those of you that know me know that my timeline is not exactly 100%. It all kind of blends together. And so y'all can thank Christy for being here and keeping me on task and making sure we give you the full details. Amen? All right. So starting with December 29th.
That was a Sunday that we decided to visit Hope City Church in Arcadia.
Pastor Terry, whoop whoop.
Yeah, we wanted to kind of say our goodbyes and visit that day. And it happened to be a testimony Sunday. And everybody was sharing faith and building faith. And that's exactly what we needed at this time.
And little did we know we were walking into a church service where we would get wrecked and basically be crying the entire time. Crying tears of joy, tears of faithfulness. It was so, so powerful. So if any of you are here from Hope City Church, thank you for sharing your story, because all of our children were talking about various stories that they heard that day and how meaningful it was to them.
Yes. And even though he said that we were a little bit apprehensive about giving tithe, we actually went in going like, okay, when's tithes being taken? When is tithes being taken? And it was like, it wasn't until the end of service. So we were like so ready to give that day because it was something that we had agreed on, and we had promised God that we were going to tithe off of everything that came in. And we were just so ready to give that it was at the end. And so we did. And we felt like the Lord he picked the right church and the right people to bless and the right ministry that we believe that the Lord wanted to give that day.
Yeah, so let me unpack that a little bit. Before we went to Hope City, we had asked the Lord, hey, Lord, we want to be faithful. We feel like it's a key to everything he was doing in this process. And so we knew we needed to give back. We needed to tithe. We needed to sow into ministries. And so he highlighted a number of churches, a number of ministries but we said, Lord, which one is the one? We want to go there and physically, be obedient, physically, put it in the basket or, give it digitally, but we want to be there. And that was when I had that pause in my spirit, I guess, if you will, and a little bit of wrestling with the enemy, of course,
Yeah.
where the enemy's lie said, if you give $500, or it was very close, right around $500, that's $500 that you don't have.
You're gonna be short.
Are
this
you
much.
sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
Like, that's the lie that was kind of rising up in my heart. And so thankfully, talking with the kids, talking with Christy in our Bible study every evening, which we still do. Every evening we get before the Lord and we study the Word, and I have more on that. But we all agreed, Hope City's the place, and we're giving the tithe no matter what. Like, even if one of us gets to go, someone's giving that tithe that morning. And so, like Christy said, our passion and our excitement, hearing the testimonies, but knowing that we were giving a gift. Like, we were so ready to give the gift. I was sitting behind Pastor Terry and I was looking at him the entire time like, bro, like, sorry, Pastor Terry, but I was like, bro, you going to take the offering now? Like, come on, let's do this. Let's rock. And it wasn't until the very, very end that he asked. And so I wanted to clarify in that day why we were there. Like Christy said, our hearts were so ready to give. Like, we couldn't give fast enough because we wanted to be obedient to the Lord and we wanted to thank him for what he's done. So I wanted to clarify, yes, I had that moment of trial and that moment of question, but just like all of us have, we doubt ourselves, and we have a choice to either partner and listen to the lies of the enemy or reject them. And so thankfully I had my tribe, my crew there with me, pushing me along and encouraging me. So I'll let Christy continue.
Well, the next one is your reaction when we went to lunch, though, because...
Well, so after the gift and the excitement to give the gift, I had this moment of what if now my family can't go with me? What if after doing all this they can't go because I'm seeing...
It was like the color went out of his face when we stopped to get lunch.
Christy said I was noticeably different in every way, and so I remember pulling into the parking lot, and all I could think about was, man, what am I gonna do? How is this gonna be? And I don't know. I felt like it was just yet another attack, and trying to get me down, trying to get me to not see the faithfulness of God. Immediately after a testimony service where we were all high on what God was doing and thankful for what God was doing. Everything was maximum highlights, and the enemy tried to swoop in and mess me up. And so no sooner than we got into the door, and this was somebody that blessed us to be able to eat on a Sunday, so it's not like we were being bad stewards of our money. Someone blessed us, so I wanted to make sure that was clarified. But no sooner than I got in the door, Pastor Terry called me, and so I picked it up, and he was just kind of apologetic in the sense that was so busy he didn't really get to hug our necks the way he wanted to, talk to us the way he wanted to, and so he was just really checking on us and making sure that we were good. And I kind of shared with him my stress that, man, I'm so tired. This is what I told him. I'm so tired of dealing with all the attacks regarding money. I said, if my family doesn't get to go with me for any reason other than money, I can live with it. But if it's money, dude, I'm so mad. I'm so done with the enemy. I basically was like, done. And what he said was, Chris, what if... And he's like, I'm gonna partner with you. I'm gonna agree with you that everyone's going, no doubt. Everyone's going. I agree with that. I'm gonna pray that. But he said, what if your family doesn't get to go? Is God still good? Is he still worthy? All that. And obviously, many of us can say, oh yeah, of course he is. But I really had to search my heart and be like the 3 Hebrew boys that would not bow down to King Nebuchadnezzar's idol. God is still good. And if I'm still going to go through this trial for whatever reason, even though I don't like it, even though I don't understand it, I would not want to, go through this trial. But if I still go through this trial, God is still good, and he does still have a plan for me. And so I feel like, I guess I can ask my family, I feel like my spirits kind of gradually started going up. Obviously, if you are a watcher of commercials, you're not the same when you're hungry. So got some food in my belly too, spent some time with the family eating and enjoying that. And so I feel like spirits, started lifting. And I was able to kind of get back into a faith-based headspace rather than looking at the problem or looking at how big the mountain in front of me was.
And I think it helped that evening, that Sunday evening, we decided as a family to agree that we were all going to go together and not just be like, okay, well, whatever. Because to talk about money, the thing that we were stressing about the most was we still didn't know if we were going to have to pay January's rent at the house in Oklahoma City. So we were looking at like, okay, $2,200 for rent plus money for Airbnb or money for hotel. So that's where it's like, okay, well, if you only needed $6,000, that's just money to get to Texas. That wasn't including all of the extras if we had to, stay at the house, still spend money on the house and the utilities and all of that in Oklahoma City, plus getting Chris to Texas. So that's where all the money stress was.
Right.
But we had just kind of come to an agreement that night. Actually, it was in the afternoon. The kids had to take a couch somewhere and they came back. And so we all just had a family meeting and we're like, okay, this is what we're going to do this week. We're going to clean, we're going to pack, we're just going to prepare like we're leaving. Right. And so that was the plan, but we ended up going and watching a movie. We watched The Lion King. We watched Mufasa. And so, that night, and I don't know if we put that in our notes, but that was the night that during the movie, I had already put on Facebook Marketplace our house for rent. Like our landlord did it on Zillow, and I thought that I'm just going to put it on Marketplace just to see if anybody, and I was getting a lot of people messaging me, but I was just giving them our landlord's number saying you have to go through him because he's the end all be all. And I did get through a lot of that, but I didn't get a lot of people like reaching back out, or he wasn't reaching back out. And so I got another message that night from a girl that was had just relocated from Texas to Oklahoma City. And we were coming from Oklahoma City to Texas. So that was funny. But that was the conversation with her she was like, okay, I'm going to put in my application. I'm going to do all the things. And it all started that night, right after we had all agreed that we were going to go to Texas. So we basically was just like, okay, we're going to agree that she's going to get the house.
Right. Yeah, Christy, all I can remember is how she was talking about her and how Christy, if you don't know, those of you that do know, she's kind of got this face/voice/ presence about her that people tell their life stories and literally everything.
Her entire life story in Facebook Messenger.
And so Christy kind of had that connection and just had that feeling in her spirit that I think it's this lady. I think it's going to be her. And so she passed Trey's information along. And I wish we could say that it was done within a couple days, but it was not. We have more for you. But like Christy said, we had made that decision that we're all going together. That I think it was Eli, actually. He said, I'm going to try to get it right. And so forgive me, Eli, if I mess any of this up. But I feel like in our discussion, our family meeting, when him and Hezekiah got back from delivering a couch, we just blessed somebody with a couch. But he said, I think God loves us so much and God is so good that he's going to do this. This is just in his character is basically what he was saying. And so he's like, I believe right here, right now, that we're all going together. Who's with me? And so we all were like, bro, okay. And anybody of you that know, I'm going to probably reference this a couple times. Eli is our Barnabas. Yeah. He is our encourager. Barnabas in scripture was the son of encouragement. And so Eli was standing on great faith and he said, God is so good and he loves us so much that I'm not going to accept anything less than the best. And he wants us all to go. And so with that said, we all made the commitment and look Christy square in the eye. We are all helping you clean. We are all helping you pack. This is going to be a family effort and it's going to be the most smooth moving and packing that we've ever done. Now, y'all, I will not minimize. It was a ton of work. We're going to get into that. But we committed to do this together. No one was on the sidelines. Everyone was committed, including Ava, our 9-year-old. And so we all did it together. We all contributed. And so
that was our Monday.
That was our Monday. Now we get to Tuesday, December 31st, New Year's Eve crossover service at Authority Church, and I'll let Christy kind of go into this one. Hezekiah ended up taking the truck separately so that he could play drums and worship for Pastor Marvelous and the team. And then there was a few highlights here. We had some big prayers and big commitments and kind of prophetic declarations that we did while we were there. But I'll let Christy kind of continue and share into this.
Well, there was a few issues with the Silverado, our nice truck that we've been babying for a couple of years, and it had just got a new transmission
The previous year.
last year in 2024, January. So it was throwing codes and doing weird things. The dash would just cut off in the middle. Like the boys went to deliver the couch, and he said that he drove on the highway for a good 20 minutes with no speed, no RPMs, no nothing. Like the dash just went out and couldn't figure it out. And then that Tuesday when he had to go to Authority Church, it's tried to do it on the way there, and then he pulled into the parking lot, and the dash just came back on. It was totally fine, and it was fine from then on. Like the next day, I forgot where he went. I think he went. Where did he go? He went
to deposit some money.
Oh yeah, he went to deposit some money at the ATM, and it was totally fine. And so I guess that goes back into Wednesday.
And I would say, even to this day, it still has not done what it was.
It wasn't doing. It hasn't done that.
Wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole dash just doing all that. It hasn't been doing that.
Well, there was some prophetic declarations that we did at Authority, where Pastor Marvelous was saying that we would just write down what we're asking God for. And at some point in the year, when those things come to pass, kind of being able to share it as a testimony as well. I want to tell this funny one, and I don't think he minds me sharing it, but Eli said that he wanted some good food to eat to start off 2024. So you kind of know where 2025. So you know where his mind is at.
Yeah.
Within 20 minutes, someone had blessed us to go get a meal that evening. Yeah. What was it, like 2 in the morning? 1 in the morning?
Like 1 in the morning. Yeah.
And so Eli was like, I just wanted to let everybody know what my declaration was. He's like, I wanted a good hamburger.
And chicken sandwiches. So.
Well, actually, chicken sandwiches. That's right. He's like, I wanted something good to eat. And he's like, 20 minutes later, God answered my prayer. So he's like, if God can do this, he can do anything. So once again, Eli being that encourager, being that faith builder, it was just so powerful. So we all got a kick out of his big faith. And
we just put Ava's out there. Ava said she wants new everything.
Yes.
That's what she wrote on her paper. New everything.
Amen.
So.
All right, so then we get into the day of the 1st. So
January
after all
1st.
that, we go to sleep and do all that. And then Christy will have this next part.
Well, Wednesday we decided that out of faith, we would start looking at Airbnbs and just book one. Mind you, none of these you can't get a refund.
Right.
If Trey ends up saying at the end of the weekend that you owe January rent, we can't get our money back. And so that was like panic number 1. And then panic number 2 was after we were looking at Airbnbs, I had at least 10 saved for the moving of January 4th to like February 4th, like a whole month's worth.
And Christy connected the iPad to the TV, and
so
she's going through and showing pictures of all the ones that she thought were still good. Yeah. And then all of them are not available.
None of them were available. Like absolutely none of them were available. Obviously we were looking in the Round Rock area. Pflugerville was just a little bit closer to Round Rock. So we had to kind of stretch our tent pegs, if you will. And I found one in Hutto, Texas, but the description was a little off. It said that it was a one bedroom with 5 beds. And I was like, I don't really want to sleep in a 1 bedroom with 5 beds. So I messaged her and just said, hey, like the pictures kind of seem like there's more than 1 bedroom. And she was just apologizing. Was like, I didn't realize it said that. It's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, does have 5 beds, but totally not a 1 bedroom. And so I was like, okay, cool. And so we just kind of had this back-to-back conversation. I told her like our budget at the moment, because we still had to have gas money to get to where we were going. So it was like we had to have a budget, and that's not what Airbnb was showing. And every time she would try to make a deal with us, Airbnb will still add $444 fee, Airbnb fee, to her side of it. And so I gave her my phone number, and she texted me, like, I guess it was 9:00 on January 1st, which was a Wednesday, and said, how about we do this outside of Airbnb, and I will offer you a month-to-month lease or rental for the amount that you said that you could spend.
And waive the deposit.
Well, there will be no deposit, no pet fees. This is all utilities paid. This is water, heat, everything, plus the internet,
And then furnished.
and it was furnished. So it already had beds, table, few things in the kitchen. I mean, refrigerator, like everything was
Washer and
furnished.
dryer was a big thing.
Washer and dryer. I'm like, yes, I need a washer and dryer. That was reasons one of the Airbnbs didn't work out, because the one that I had saved that we had really wanted was
All the appliances were down.
everything was broken. There was a king bed that was broken, a dishwasher, the oven, the washer and dryer, and it was walking distance to Dell, like literally walking distance to Dell. So, but when I finally messaged them, they messaged back and apologized and said it's not guest ready. And so that's when we had to find the one in Hutto. But the lady's name is Ruth, which is our current landlord. We'd have to stay, but she did offer us the month-to-month rental. And that night we kind of had to say, okay, we're going to do this. We don't know if we will have more money or, what it will look like, but we're just going to do this because we needed to book it and have it ready for that weekend just in case. And in the meantime, like, I'm still talking to the girl that was potentially renting our OKC house. She had already said, like, I put in my application, I've given all of my paperwork, still waiting to see if I'm approved or not. And so I guess that goes into Thursday,
The second,
right?
yeah. Yeah, so we agreed to sign the lease. Hezekiah will be 18, and so he had the realization once we moved in
I
that,
just under his driver's license.
I've got to sign the lease too. And so he was part of the agreement. Interestingly enough, all I remember is we were waking up January 2nd, and I heard Christy laugh.
I started laughing.
And y'all, I don't know, how you wake up, but laughing up to joy and laughter is a good thing. And so I was like, what's going on? And she's like, I just checked the bank and we just got another $750 as a gift. And so we're looking at it, find out who it was, sent them a note saying, thank you so much. You have no idea. And interestingly enough, their gift was on the 1st. So we don't know how that correlated with our act of obedience in stepping out in faith and saying yes to the Airbnb. But like it had to be so close. We found it on the 2nd.
And we didn't even get any emails or anything that
it
had been given online.
Previous alerts. Chrissy just checked the bank account. And
I just checked
it
the next day.
And so like we took that as like God's stamp of approval. Like we're like Abraham now, stepping out into the land that he's going to show us.
I not only checked it because I was having to pull it from the bank to Cash App in order to pay our landlord. Like we had signed the lease and we had needed to send her the money.
Yeah.
To just kind of hold the place and say we're good.
And so we did. And so that was a lot of money coming out. Now, mind you, yes, this is utilities, internet, furnishing, and all
everything.
That. So it is more than we wanted to spend, for sure. And we did let her know, like, hey, this is a new job. This is a new place. Like, all this is brand new. Let's just work together. And she was just very, very accommodating and very helpful with it. Now, we got another gotcha. And so as of Friday the 3rd,
we were
Christy was checking with the pods and found out that it was astronomical.
It was
price.
almost $4,000 to get it. It's cheaper if you were to put it on in your driveway, pack it, and just let it sit. But when you have to transport it to Texas, it was
Ada.
Close to 4,000. I mean, just Ada was like 2,500, but to Texas was like 4,000.
And so at that point, we knew that would go way beyond our budget. Not that God couldn't do it, but we were just concerned that that might not be the best use of the funds. And so Christy, as she does, got a little bit, ideas and possibilities and options. And so she had said, what if we got like a storage unit? And I remember driving by one as Hezekiah and I were going to work for Deep in Church. Shout out to Pastor Kayo. Blessings to you guys because they were contributors in our journey. So thank you so much for your gift. And I remember driving by Morningstar Storage. And so Christy called, worked it out with them. It was a crazy low rate, exactly the size that we needed, which is crazy. I don't think we could have gone any smaller. It was
10 by 10.
Basically right at what we needed. And we still had extra stuff, y'all. So we still gifted things to people. But the price was right. The guy was very polite. And in that process, he was like, hey, we need a certain type of insurance for the moving truck. We thought we were going to be able to get it overnight. We weren't. So we were doing some stuff, some moving that Friday evening on the 3rd to the storage facility. Interestingly enough, our code was set up wrong. And so Christy, I mean, these are just God stories, y'all. It was about 8 p.m.
Me and Kaya were in the Honda.
Yeah, they were in one of the vehicles, and they went ahead and saw someone pulling out, so they pulled in. Well, when I got
He was
there
getting gas.
with the moving truck, and I wanted to put gas in the moving truck so that when we were done, it was topped off and all that.
There was like a taco truck pulling out of the storage unit. We weren't sure if we were all going to fit, but it fit.
But they got in, and I messaged her. I said, "Hey, the code's not working. How'd you get in?"
I was like,
and so they were able to come back by the gate, get it to trigger, and we were able to offload our stuff. It took maybe 40 minutes. Was it?
It was like 45 minutes.
45 minutes or so to unpack.
Unload.
And y'all, we have pictures if you want to see them, but it was a miracle that we got everything Tetris in there. And he even called me later and was like, "You guys are so great. Thank you for topping off the gas in the truck. You did not have to do that." Mm-hmm. It was only like $25, guys. It wasn't like I gave billions of dollars, but he was just like, anytime you need to use this, whatever we can do, like, very thankful. And so like the theme here is just, I felt like our lives are a ministry to people, and he might have been, with his own issues and all of that, but like, could we bless them? Could we help them? And so he was very thankful, very appreciative. We got our code figured out, got our keys figured out, and all of that. And so we did have another drop off at the storage facility the next day, but we were able to do it with the truck. So we were able to sleep in our own beds that night. Praise Jesus. And then basically all day that day was cleaning, house
Saturday,
repairs,
January 4th.
Getting things in order so that we could bless our current landlord and leave the place as good as possible than when we found it. And so, making sure all the light bulbs were working, touching any of the wear spots, on door frames and walls and baseboards, and then touching up with paint. After that, we were doing lots of sweeping and mopping and basically staging everything.
I had to clean out fridges.
Outside before Hezekiah and the boys loaded up. I did want to say a special shout out to Valiant Coleman. Mm-hmm. Valiant, thank you so much for helping us load the vehicles. You didn't have to do that, but you did. And so we thank you for helping us kind of get everything in the truck and in the trailer. Guys, he was a huge help because Christy and I were like crazy inside, just cleaning, mopping, all the things.
We'd originally planned to leave Saturday around noon, and we were still cleaning around Saturday at like 2.
Yes. So we were getting close to crunch time, and I was like, we've got to get on the road and move. And in retrospect, as we kind of unpack the time of when we left before we arrived, had it not been late, dark, not packed highways, very kind of coldish temperatures, I don't know how our vehicles would have done, specifically the Silverado, but we'll get more into that. But nonetheless, he helped, and we got everything loaded.
But once we had everything in the garage, we realized it's not going to fit in the truck.
Yes, and so we were messaging people and saying, "Can we give you this? Can we give you that?" Christy had previously, even though it was a sad decision, decided to bless the new person that was taking over the house with an option to purchase our washer and dryer from us, and so
and the refrigerator in the
that
kitchen
would stay there. Our landlord Trey actually decided to purchase the refrigerator that was basically custom. The shelves were custom made for it.
A year ago,
it was a certain size when the kitchen and area was redone, and then we had some chairs, a TV, various things that we just could not take. And so we're like, "Do you want these?" And so,
but then we also want to get a U-Haul trailer.
That part worked out. But I told Christy, I said, "Hey, we're going to need to get a U-Haul." And she was like, "As much as I don't like it, what's the cost?
Can we fit it in?" And a U-Haul trailer.
And so, I sent Hezekiah to get a hitch, one that could be lowered. And then we went to go pick up the trailer. In that process, we had a little bit of a panic, because Hezekiah and I, he put it in reverse to back up, and the entire engine shut off. And I was like, I'm looking at Hezekiah, he's looking at me. I'm like, "What happened?" And he's like, "I have no clue. Like, we weren't on a hill, we weren't struggling, we weren't doing anything crazy, we were just backing up." And I said, "Okay, let's try to get it back in, gear and keep moving." And it did. And so we got to the U-Haul place, no issues. He was even able to back up to the trailer, all of that, no problems. And I'm like, "What was that? That's crazy." And so we get back home and we got a surprise visit from the lovely Jackson family and baby Hannah, and we were able to hug on them a little bit, give them some of the updates, and they actually prayed over us, prayed over the trip, prayed over the truck.
Yeah.
And
laid hands on it.
Within the next hour or so, I think we were finally able to leave after a bunch more cleaning, but we just had to go, and it was right around 5. Now, my mom and dad wanted to send us off and say their final goodbyes to us at around 7 in Pauls Valley. So we were kind of in crunch time. It was a little bit crazy. One of the decisions we had determined to invest in, and it wasn't a lot of money, but we were able to get it shipped, about $20. We got some good walkie-talkies that could be recharged and would last about 5 or so hours on battery. And so we felt like, hey, 5.5 hour trip, this should be perfect. Let's do this so we can talk easily between the vehicles. Little did we know those things were incredibly vital to this trip. And so we get on the road and we're no more than 40 minutes to an hour into the trip. We were
around the Norman area.
And we hit some of the craziest traffic. Now, Norman is bad. Those of you that live there, you know. Around rush hour, all of that.
6 o'clock.
But it was real bad, y'all. And in the process of doing so, Hezekiah noticed that the transmission temperature in the truck was getting really, really high. And so we called my dad and said, hey, we're seeing really high temperatures. What do you recommend doing for the truck? And so he gave some general advice, take it easier, put it in tow mode, etc.
Don't go too fast.
And don't get too wild with it, which we were kind of in stop and go traffic, so we weren't really getting fast. But Hezekiah was like, okay, I've got this. I'm checking with him. Now, let me make this disclaimer. My son loves vehicles. He's very smart. He loves working on them, has all this experience, far more than me, but not as much driving experience. And so his desire this entire time was, can I please drive the truck with a trailer? Mm-hmm. And so he's almost 18, y'all. Kaya is very responsible. So this was not something I ignorantly or just very lazily allowed him to do. I said, hey, we're going to drive a short trip from here to Pauls Valley. I'll let you do this. If anything goes crazy, I'll take over, right? And so it's something that we talked about, but I wanted him to have that opportunity. So we continued to have this transmission kind of thing looming over him, and we get to Pauls Valley far later than we wanted. It was closer to 8 o'clock rather than 7.
Now, for him and Eli that were in the truck, when the code goes off that says your transmission is overheating, bells and whistles go off. Yeah. It is not just a flash on the dash. It is like bells, bing, bing, alert, bing, bing, alert, bing, alert. Yeah. Like, I mean,
we could hear it on the walkie.
We could hear it in the, yeah. I mean, I would have lost it in there, but I was not in there. Thank the Lord.
Thank you, Jesus. And so through a few calls, lots of prayer from my dad and various others that we're reaching out to. We finally do make it to Pauls Valley. Dad has us pull in. We don't get gas just yet because, we're still good there. But Dad goes ahead and feeds us all. And so that was good. I mean, knowing how long this trip will end up being, if we hadn't eaten at that point, our kids would have been
Especially me, I'd only had French fries.
Christy is not a traveler, and so she does not do well eating and driving on the road. It just does not go well, and so
I would have said that you could have just knocked me out for the whole trip, but I was praying the entire trip.
We needed all our prayer warriors. Keep in mind, we also took our cats on this trip, guys, and so we're already a couple hours in. The cats are still doing okay. And so thank you to all those who helped us get the kitty crates and the kitty beds because they were doing so good. They were able to
stretch and move. And
you guys have to understand, my boy Rhodey, he does not like car rides. And so he's yipping the entire way. But this time, through all the prayers, I felt like he actually was able to rest a bit. Yeah. And it was so good. Pepper loves trips, and so she's not at all has any issues. And I think both of them appreciated the larger cage space because the other ones would have had them kind of curled up like a little burrito. And this one allowed them to kind of stretch out.
It was supposed to be a 5.5 hour drive.
Yes. The caveat is we were only supposed to have 5 hours. And so we're already 2. And we're like, we're still in Oklahoma, y'all. Like, not awesome.
Yeah.
You should be able to get to Dallas in about 3. It is for perspective. And so we're only in Pauls Valley. And my dad starts looking at the truck. And I know his face. And I could
We
tell
all said it.
all over his face, he's
Even
not
Kaya
thinking
did.
things are good. So he's checking fluids, filling oil.
There was a weird sound.
Yes, and he drives the truck around the parking lot a couple times and hears the sound.
Yeah.
And his face does not say, "You're doing great." It was like, "Oh no, like, will this truck get there?" And he wouldn't tell me that until we already had made it. He's like, "Chris, I did not think your
That
truck
was gonna
was
make
going to
it."
do it. Like, it was bad." But he didn't tell us that. We just kind of saw it. And so we leave Paul's Valley. We were there at least an hour.
Yeah.
Not planned. Only because we wanted to spend
Rest
a little
the
bit of
truck,
time,
too.
rest the vehicle, let temperatures calm down, let kitties and kids calm down, get food, bathrooms, etc. And then we got gas, and then we said our goodbyes and headed out. It
Once we
was
got into
not.
Texas.
It was not an hour. I would say maybe an hour and a half tops. We just get into Texas, and we reach another traffic like congestion area.
Everything went to like one lane.
Yes, and Hezekiah messaged over the walkie-talkie, "Hey, I don't know what to do. The truck will not go out of first.
It won't shift out of first.
It won't shift." And he's panicking, and y'all,
Which is
once
10
again,
miles per hour
once
on a
again,
Texas highway.
Hezekiah, well, I think he was moving, but he couldn't get it to do anything. And so...
it was just revving.
Yeah, it was revving really high, and Hezekiah is good with vehicles, y'all. I want to stress this. He's very good with vehicles, very good with the truck. He's done everything himself to upgrade the truck and replace parts, lights, etc. And so when he calls me, he was like, "I don't know what to do." We're like, "Okay, let's pull off. Let's pull off immediately." So we thankfully are able to pull off on a service road that was being constructed. And so no one's on it, like literally no one for miles. And so we call my dad. He says, we want you guys to go ahead and reset the entire system. And so pull the battery, do XYZ steps, and it's going to reset everything. And so it took us a little time to do this in the dark.
Meanwhile, I'm in the Honda contacting all my girls.
Praying.
To pray. Like, pray, because I was so ready to get out of the car and scream at the top of my lungs and pray in tongues because I was so mad that we kept having all of these issues. Like, I was just, it was righteous anger.
And we were I mean, before we were able to get moving again, it was easily 10:30. Like, hours are chipping away and we're not any further than we were, right? And so this
I think it was midnight when we pulled over because we still had 3 hours to go.
Yeah, and this was the moment, y'all, that Hezekiah... remember, he wanted to drive the truck, he wanted to drive the trailer, but this was the moment that he was like, "I don't want to drive it. I don't know what to do. It's stressing me out."
I could tell he was stressed out, and he kept saying, I could do it. But I felt like he needed a break.
Yeah.
And I think that I felt like you were more in control, that you could make the decision to get the truck to where it needs to go more than Kaya could. And
So I get in the
I made the decision of putting him in the car with me.
And this is where we start moving even slower, y'all.
He was driving the Honda.
Where we were going at least 60 before on the highway and continuous
60,
movement.
65.
I'm only able to do 40 to maybe 50. And so in that process, I'm talking to my dad, and I'm letting him know what the engine's doing, letting him know what I'm doing to get it to shift, walking him through all the steps. He would later tell me, he's like, "Chris, as you were telling me that, all I remember being out is on my front porch and just saying, God, I don't know what else to do. I don't know how else to pray." He said he goes inside and he tells my mom, like, "I need your help. Like, it's time to pray. There's no way this truck should be, able to move any further from here." Like, he's like, "We need a miracle." And y'all, I think it's around that time that Eli and I are just going along, and this is where I call him Barnabas again. And he's like, "You know what? How about we just start singing and praising God?" And he said a few times in the process, he's like, "I didn't even know I knew that song." And he's just like, just singing words and lyrics. And bear in mind, Eli is also one of the types that will be completely honest. He's like, "I'm not even sure if I hit the right keys and all that. But all I know is that we needed to praise and worship God. And this is what he's asking us to do. So this is what we're going to do."
He's also the one that when I'm asking, "How's the truck doing?" I want numbers. I want codes. And when he just says, "We're good. We're chill.
He's like,
we're cruising.
Everything is
And I'm like, that's not what I asked Eli. I want to know what's the temperature? What's your speed? What's the gas? Like, we wanted to know, me and Kyle wanted to know all the details. And Eli was just like, "We're good. We're
Well,
driving.
and the other part of that is every time I would get a little bit worried seeing the temperature go up, as we were singing, it was also simultaneously going down. And I was like, I told Christy later, I was like, I didn't do anything different. I was still driving the same way and all of that. And so we finally got to the point where the service road would not take us any further and we had to get on the highway. And so, I was able to get off the phone with Dad shortly, but I was like, all right, Dad, we're going to get on the highway.
We're going to get it in
We're
the
going to
port.
get it to 50, 60 as best as we can and just keep going. We were still okay on gas. The Honda was great on gas the entire way and at eco mode and everything. And so
Thank you, Belts.
thank you to the Belt family for blessing us with that vehicle because it's now our daily driver. But we ended up getting on the highway, praying again. Me and Eli are continuing to worship. And so we get in, and lock it in at that speed. And I think I was able to successfully do about 60, 65 the
There
rest
was
way.
literally no traffic.
No
There
traffic
was
on the
no
highway.
one on the road.
And so the temperatures were very low. They were in probably the 30s and 40s. And so it was helping keep the temperature down, I believe. And then without all the traffic, we're not having to slow down below our speed that we needed to go. And then anybody that was needing to pass us were able to pass us. We had 2 to 3 lanes for the rest of the trip. And so though it was stressful, though I was not doing cruise, I was doing, my foot pedal. Eli was helping, not only keep me awake, but also keep, my spirit engaged and focused on the Lord. And then we were praying the entire way. I mean, praying in tongues, praying with words, all the above.
Yeah.
And it was about 40 minutes from our destination to the Round Rock Hutto exits. And I was like, guys, how's your gas? They were like, our gas is good. I was like, well, mine's not. And I want to get there and I don't want to stop again. So everyone pray up. We need to be able to get into the gas station and get out of the gas station, even though we're going to have to stop, right? And so I remember pulling off. Everyone takes bathroom breaks, comes back out, checks on the kitties. Everything is good. By a miracle, no kitties are yipping. Everyone is good. And so we start pulling out. Well, not only the pull out back onto the highway, does the truck just like shake with all of its might. It's crazy. But we finally found like what would be like an expressway, so faster than normal speeds. I think Chris Kelly Boulevard is like 50 to 60
And no tolls.
in different parts, and no tolls, thankfully. And so we were going, and all the lights, easily 10 to 15.
And you could see them like outstretched in front of you. And so Kai and I were in the car going, green light, green light, green light,
Yes.
green light, green light.
And so we were praying for greens the entire way, and it wasn't until the last two, within like maybe a mile to 2 miles from our final stop, that I had to stop at. And y'all, it was stressing me out because it would shake the entire
The thing
truck.
is, it's from our view because we were behind the truck. We couldn't see the shaking. You can only see, feel it, and everything inside the vehicle.
Yeah.
So Kai and I could not tell what the truck was doing from our perspective.
Yeah.
We just were praying because we knew that he had to stop.
Yeah. And so
And then go again.
Thankfully, I was able to get it back up into like the 40s and pull into the housing edition where the Airbnb was. And
It's literally the first
like
house.
if you remember the cartoons where the animals or whatever are just like, oh, they kind of melt down, because they're so exhausted. That was our truck, y'all. It was done.
Yeah, it was done.
And so our next hour or so was focused on emptying the truck and emptying the trailer.
We didn't want to do it the next day. We got here at 3 a.m.
We were here at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning, and
we didn't want to do it
unloaded
the
the
next
trailer, and we didn't finally lay down or go to sleep till about 4 or 5 a.m.
Oh yeah, it was after 5 when I took a shower.
When we got up the next day before getting the family out and kind of exploring, checking out the Dell trip and all that, Hezekiah and I decided we would try to attempt to take it back to the U-Haul drop-off facility. We went around the block and it was struggling a little bit, but once again, if I could keep it moving,
And
we
just
felt
get it
like
up
we'd be
the
okay.
third gear.
We pulled out of our housing addition and go on another service road before getting on the highway. And y'all, I couldn't get it past 30. The RPMs would go so high, it almost sounded like, now this thing had pipes, but it almost sounded like a race car, but it would never shift. There was nothing I could do like I did before to get it into the higher gear, second, third, fourth, past 30 miles an hour that I could get it to shift. And I just said, Kaya, there's no way this is happening. And so we pull back around, make our way back to our housing addition. And then from there, we're kind of working with U-Haul on, can you guys come and get this thing? Like, all the stuff.
There was a few hiccups because one guy was really nice, was really like, apologetic about what happened in the truck. And I'm like, it's not your fault. But he said to contact roadside assistance through U-Haul. And then we did that. And then one lady was kind of, our drop-off location, we didn't realize was in Leander, Texas, which is 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
We didn't realize that they didn't pick the closest drop-off location when we originally had rented the U-Haul trailer. So we were then told that we needed to change our drop-off location, which I did, after the lady said that roadside assistance couldn't help you. And so I called the traffic number that they had originally given me, changed our drop-off location to 6 miles away in Pflugerville, then called roadside assistance back again, and then did it from the app and said, like, we need the trailer picked up, our cars broke down, and it was picked up within 3 hours.
Yes. It was easily a day's worth of calls, because what we couldn't get done one day, we had to finish the next day. But by the grace of God, yet
On
again,
Tuesday,
we were able to get the trailer picked up before it was due, and after changing it to the closer location, which I think they said was only like 6 to 10 minutes away, they were able to deliver it to that location, and we were clear of our obligation of having a trailer. Now, bear in mind, if anything else happened, we would need to get a trailer and a truck this time, because our truck is not doing anything.
We're like, we can't get this trailer anywhere.
And so I did want to say a massive, just sweet testimony on Hezekiah's birthday, as he's sharing all this with family. He was offered a truck from a family member. I just want to kind of leave them nameless just in case they don't want to be called out. But they offered to gift Kaya a truck. And so now our request to the Lord is, Lord, you were able to do all this mighty work getting us here.
Yeah.
A trip that should have taken 5 hours, y'all. 5 hours, little over 5 hours, was more than 10 hours by the grace of God. And now that same truck that drove all 10 hours of that to get us here will not do anything. So tell me that's not God. We had all the money come in that we asked for, plus more. Tell me that's not God. And then as I started at Dell, it was just thing after another in terms of, oh, you've worked here before. Oh, you know this. Oh, you know that. You're a team player. Like,
he went back to preschool.
The Dell process has been so nice in terms of how God is going to be paying me for something that I've done before. And so I've told a few people, like, never did I expect to have the opportunity where some people say, if I could go back and do X, Y, Z again, here's what I would do differently. Well, I'm getting that opportunity, and it's just been so precious. We had the snowpocalypse come in for Oklahoma, North Texas, and Arkansas. The only thing we've got is rain and cold weather. And so that's been good.
And it's not as cold as we've had it in Oklahoma.
Right. and so anyways, all that to say, we wanted to give you a uplifting note that, yeah, the truck is having issues, but God's got better for us. He's already shown us that he has better for us. And so, our goal now is to sell it. Maybe someone can buy it, wants to either work on it or use it for parts. Our desire is to ship the truck that Kaya is being gifted from where it's at to here, so that we don't have to spend gas and go drive it and schedule all that. And so that's our current request to the Lord is, Lord, help us to get the money to, get it from its, location to our destination here in Hutto, Texas. We want to continue to ask the Lord for provision for our current place. Remember, it is utilities and bills paid, and so it is more expensive than most people currently look at. And we are still looking. Obviously, we would like to find a permanent place to be. We do really, really like this house. We do really like our landlord, and so who's to say it's not here?
That would still be another trip to go get all of our stuff out of storage that we're trying to push off.
Yes, and so we do have a monthly storage fee in Oklahoma City. We would like our stuff to be here. Our blankets, couches,
beds,
side tables, desks, those kind of things. And so there is still things to do. And so the reality is if you are still led to sow into our story, sow into this ground, I hope you know that we are good ground, and my heart is still so big for the ministry that God is calling us to do here. We want to open up our homes. Like our style or our call that the Lord is putting us in this season is a home church model. And that's not knocking any of the big churches, but that's just what he's calling us to do. And so we want a home that we can open up that is comfortable and welcoming and inviting for people to come and grow in ministry, grow in their walk and calling with the Lord. And so I'm thinking ahead to these things. And so pieces need to come together. We're still waiting for our deposit to be returned to us from our previous home and our previous landlord, and just that we did leave the house better than we found it. The lady that has it now, which she was finally approved
After we moved.
after we moved, and so God just moved in all of that. So I hope you hear the theme of testimony and God's goodness and His faithfulness, in spite of everything the enemy tried to throw at us, whether it was mental wars or physical things to try to stop us. And He was not victorious. And I hope that you can see in us that our faith was boosted in all of this. And so if you've been following, you've been praying, maybe you've been talking to my mom and dad because we've been trying to give them updates as we've gone, you've heard the theme of God is bigger and greater and able to do more than we can ask or think. And it's for our good and it's for His glory. And so when we finished this trip, all I could look at Christy and the family with tears in our eyes, like, we have to share what God has done, because someone needs to know our story. And it's not to highlight us. It's just to say, as plain and general, like unassuming as we are, if God will do it for us, God will do it for you. And that's what we want you to hear in this story. So whether it's through your financial partnership, whether it's your prayer partnership, or whether it's you just crying out saying, God, if you can do it for the Johnsons, I know you can do it for me. We want to pray with you and for you. And so I speak by, the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, that whatever you're going through right now, that just as He took care of me and my family, He was able to, bring us all here together, safely, sound, by His grace. If He can do it for me, I declare in the name of Jesus, He will do it for you. And the main reason, it's not about what we did. It's not about, how we prayed a certain way or gave a certain way. It's because He loves you. You are a son or daughter of the Most High God, and His love for you is never ending. And so I thank Him with all that I am. And the thing that I've been thinking about this week primarily is I do not want to forget the goodness of God when things seem to be going well, when money is in the bank, when a roof is over your head, when food is in your belly. I don't want to forget the goodness of God, because I've been in the lowest of low places where I didn't know how He was going to provide. I didn't know what we were going to do. And God still went above and beyond all I can ask or think or imagine. And He's faithful. And so our story, we pray, blesses you and adds to your story. And so just to recap again, we still have some things going on that we are contending in prayer for. And I use the word contending very loosely because I'm asking my dad, and my dad loves me, and he's going to take care of me. And so we have a monthly storage fee in OKC until we can get our stuff here. We want to, be able to provide rent for the current place here, whether it's our home that we're currently in, that's about $3,500, or finding a better place that's bigger or cheaper, right? That's not something we're not looking at.
Our hope is to get our deposit back from Oklahoma City and offer her a deposit and see if she would take the monthly rent down to about $3,000.
Yeah.
And that way, if we give her $1,000 for a deposit that she could use for whatever
repairs
she needs
and
when we
else.
do move out, that would kind of counteract the monthly.
And those of you that know us, we've done our due diligence of just cleaning and working on things while we're here at the house.
I have sent pictures to several people.
Just so we could show her that we care about, what she's doing for us. And so we believe that God's favor goes before us and behind us. And so we're just saying, Lord, we want to bless this lady and work this out if we can. Then, of course, we have insurance for our vehicles, which we're still paying on the truck. But insurance for our vehicles, our renter's insurance, just to do our due diligence here while we're here. The fact that because I started mid-pay cycle at Dell, The pay will be a little bit weird the first couple of checks. And so we're just asking for you guys to partner with us, that God, he's already done above and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
How can we imagine that he can't go above and beyond in all these
And he
things?
knows what we need.
Yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to share is just continuing to pray for the meetings that we want to start in our house. Wherever we're at, just being obedient. We're still doing our daily devotional and different things online, but we have so many people that just want to kind of be connected with us. It's not that I'm special or I've got anything that you don't have. They want to be with us. And so I just would like to turn that into just a way that we can disciple each other and pray for each other. And so we want to start that soon. And in order to really kind of have all these updates, I mean, I try to update YouTube as much as we can, Facebook as much as we can, but we've kind of moved to our texting group rather than WhatsApp and those other things. And so if you want text alerts, you want to know what's going on, that kind of safe forum, the best thing to do is to send us a text to 405-288-4704. That's our text group. It will remain at that number. And that way you'll be added to our newsletter and alerts, and you'll find out all of this as it happens. Obviously, you can message us directly, but this is the one that we try to make sure is updated with all the latest. And so please join that. You can rewatch this video. We will share it. It is public, and so very different than our previous video, just because we didn't want any curses to arise and give more obstacles than we needed. And
or
so
stress for some people.
And
I didn't want to stress out.
Yeah, we don't want to burden people as well. And so,
especially the truck stress. That was enough for us.
It was a lot. So. And so, once again, we hope this was something that encouraged you and built your faith. And you can celebrate with us that God has done a great and mighty work in us and for us and hopefully through us as we sow back into the community that we're now here in Hutto. We want to bless lives in Hutto. And Texas is so big, y'all, that there are souls upon souls that have not heard, have not tasted and seen that the Lord is good. And so we are here for a reason, and our testimony is what it is for a reason, so that people can be blessed. And so that is our goal. That is our mandate while we're here. And so we're expecting to see in Hutto as it is in heaven. Okay.
Another prayer request I just thought of is to get the title for our truck.
Yes, we got to get it from Oklahoma.
To forget it in Oklahoma in the storage unit, and I was able to submit a duplicate title request online. So I found a notary that came to our house and signed the form for us. And so just that's a quicker process to get the title so we can sell the truck. Totally.
So things are coming together, still lots of moving pieces, but God is good and our hearts are full. And I'm just, gosh, guys, I'm so encouraged. Our prayer nights, our study nights have been so impactful. Lots of tears, but lots of thankfulness.
And even our kids are just like, 2 weeks ago, we didn't think we would all be in Texas together. Hezekiah said, I didn't think I was going to spend my 18th birthday in Texas. And then I told Ava last night, I was like, hey, both of our birthdays are in April. I said, our birthdays are in like 3 months. And she's like, no way, I didn't know I was going to spend my 10th birthday in Texas. And so it just kind of sometimes hits us of like, oh, we are all here together. Like that happened really fast.
Yes. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for partnering. Thank you for praying all the ways that you guys have loved our family. We just pray more blessings over you. If there's things that we can join you with in prayer, our desire in all things is that we could be a blessing to people too, for the name of Jesus.
And God gets the glory.
That's our goal. Yes, we want to bring glory and honor to Him and love well. And so thank you for helping us and believing in us. Please feel free to watch and share, and we'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.
God bless.